everybody. I'm Rebecca from Thieving Otter Farm,
And I'm Leah with Southern Biophiliac Urban Farm.
and we are two Chix Coturnix bringing you the scoop
Not the poop.
on Coturnix quail. So, one question that we see a lot of in various quail groups is what do we price our birds, our chicks, our eggs at, and how do we find our market? So, we kind of thought we'd have a chat about that today.
Yeah, I see this one like almost daily.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the short answer is it depends.
It really does. There's so many factors that go into it, from your location to, how long you've been in, doing quail, um, you know, what is in your area. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh, I was just going to go with it depends. I was
yeah.
going to close out the show. But okay, if you want to go into it further, Leah.
Maybe just a little bit of details.
Okay, so let's pick one of these and roll with it. You choose. What do you want to talk about first?
Location.
Okay.
Yeah. So, California, Florida are generally going to be a little bit higher cost wise than, say, in the Midwest, just because of price differences regionally.
That's
So
true.
that's one thing. Like, I hear a lot about, you might go to somewhere in the Midwest, and the price of Coturnix is maybe $5 a head, and you could go to California and they're asking 20.
Yep. I think it also has a lot to do. I know that there are places that, like Jeff Maddox, our nutritionist friend, has called like a food desert,
Yes.
where it's harder to get food in. The price for food is higher. And so in those areas, the price for birds might be higher because they're paying more to feed them.
Definitely. Yeah. Feed costs, of course, are regionally too. So
Yeah.
that's definitely going to go into account.
I think it would also depend as far as locally, what you're talking about would be how saturated the market is.
Yes.
So if there are a whole lot of breeders in your area, you might have to have competitive pricing versus if you're the only breeder in the area.
Right.
And also, I think it would also depend on whether or not you're doing local sales or if you primarily ship out.
Definitely.
I don't do a whole lot of local sales, so I don't really pay attention to what the prices are in my area.
Whereas I do.
Yeah. So we have completely different markets to look at.
Yep.
How do you go about finding out? So you do a lot of local sales. How do you go about finding out like what other people are charging in your area to kind of know if you're competitive or not?
Generally, I see it a lot on the online forums. Also, like, I'll check out other local people's websites to see kind of where they're priced at.
Got it.
And go from there.
Got it.
And a lot of it's demand too. So
yes, absolutely. And you can also look at kind of time of the year. Speaking of demand. So prices might be a little bit higher in the spring when everybody wants quail.
Everybody does.
Then in, say the fall or winter when you're like, okay, I got to just, I'm trying to get rid of these birds.
Right.
Not as many people are interested. So something else to look at, with primarily shipping out, I don't necessarily look at what everybody else is charging. I kind of base mine more along the lines of what kind of effort went into these birds. So a lot of times, with my projects, I'll have been working on them for years before I release them. Okay, so with my sales not being local, I don't look as much at what everybody else is doing. I kind of look more at what kind of effort went into making those lines. So when I do a new release, I'm looking at how many years did I work on them? Because often I will work on a line for years and years before I release it. And during that time, those birds are eating and they're taking up cage space.
A
And
lot of space.
yes, and you have time and effort into taking care of them. Um, so while people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you're charging X amount for these birds," and I'm like, "Well, I also put 4 years of work into them, and time and energy and money." Um, so that is a big factor for me. And then I also kind of look at how far along am I with this line. So if it's something that I'm like, okay, these are good enough, I'm gonna sell these, I'm gonna put my name on them. That's one thing. If it's like, these are good, these are really good. Like I have put, like this is a finished product, and you're not going to have to do any work past this. Okay, everything needs work. So, but there's a difference between that. Is it a finished line that I've been working on and it is rock solid, or does it still need some work? So I look at that with pricing as well. Trying to think what else. I also look at like the rarity and the demand. So,
Definitely. You can
there
charge more for like celadons or some very rare color
exactly.
versus, a jumbo brown or
Yep, exactly. Well, I don't know. So I don't know that I would put jumbo brown in there because there's a lot of demand for jumbo browns.
there is. And if you've got good lines, then you can ask more for them.
Exactly. And that's the key point. Everybody sells jumbo browns. But do you have a good line of jumbo browns? So for me, if I were purchasing, I would rather go to a breeder who has been working on that line for a long time and they've worked the kinks out of it and it's a good solid line and it breeds true and all the things, and pay a little bit more than breeding from someone who's just throwing a bunch of birds in a cage, calls them jumbo brown, and then sells them cheaper.
Yep.
It's worth it to me to have less work.
Yeah, it's worth it to know what you're going to get out of the eggs and that it's going to be consistent.
Absolutely. And think of it this way. Um, you could go with some cheaper eggs. Let's say I save 10 bucks. Get some cheaper eggs. But if I have to work on those for, a long time before that they're decent and I can resell them and make money off of them, or if I have to cull half of them because they're crappy, I didn't save any money at all. Now
No,
I've
not in
invested
the
way
long
more
run.
money. Yeah,
Yep.
I've invested way more money in feed and time and so I would rather spend the extra money with good quality birds.
Definitely. Yeah. And then other pieces of the market, which I know you don't do this part, but like people could possibly get into selling eating eggs or
Oh,
even
absolutely.
meat.
Yes. So how do you go about pricing those?
So it's usually regionally dependent
Mhm.
based on demand and what's out there. But you also have to check, state laws and things to see if it's something you can do.
Right, right. That's
And I
true.
usually stay like with my eating eggs, I stay pretty competitive with what the grocery stores are selling their eggs at.
Got it. Got it. So just kind of shop around, literally.
Yes. Yep.
Go look at the other shops. Um, that's a good point too about knowing your various permits and stuff like that you would have to have. That does fall into the price of things. If you're doing everything
Yeah,
right and you're spending money on testing and whatever, I feel like you need to recoup those costs.
definitely. And I mean, here in my state, I have to have a separate license to sell live birds.
Right.
So, yeah, and I know it's that way in other states as well.
Yep. I ran into that problem when I was exporting to Canada, which I no longer do. Don't get excited. So, Leah, you're working on that though, right?
Yes, yes, we should hopefully have everything finalized by November.
Cool. But when I was exporting to Canada, people would, look at the prices of what I had online and expect to pay that when I shipped to Canada, and didn't factor in like, okay, I'm going to have a veterinary premise inspection where I'm having to pay a vet to come to my farm and look at everything on my farm.
Yep.
Now, the vet didn't actually have to hold everything and do a full body, full exam on every animal I had, but they had to visually inspect everything that I had, like look in every single cage. So that, that cost money. And then for each shipment, I had to have an individual uh, health certificate, which costs money, and the MPIP testing, which costs. There was a whole lot of extra costs, and
Right.
so that had to be rolled into the price, and people had a little bit of sticker shock
Yeah.
with that.
Yep.
But it's worth it. Again, if you are in a place where you might not have good quality birds, I would much rather take the chance and pay the extra money on importing something than, have to spend years working on subpar lines.
Right.
So
It
it's
makes a
definitely worth
huge
it.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just good to know, like, up front that, the breeder is not trying to scam you or make a whole bunch of money. No, they're just trying to recoup their costs for, the extra charges they've incurred.
Right.
Yep. So what about, let's see, we've talked about locality, we've talked about extra costs and the quality of the birds, the time that goes into them. Are we missing anything?
Just other avenues that you could sell your birds.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know some people are like dehydrating the wings
Yep.
and selling those for crafting supplies. Some
Also,
people,
the pet treat
yep,
business is getting pretty big right now.
yep. There are things like skulls and feet that are
Yes, the
sold.
oddities market.
Uh-huh. So those are some ideas. I wouldn't know the first thing about getting into those, but I guess see what other people are charging.
Yeah, and like if you do go into the pet realm, you do again have to check your state laws and see if there's any permitting needed for that.
Right, right, absolutely. I think it also depends on what market you're selling into, or what I should say, what avenues. Like for instance, eBay. I charge, if I list something on eBay, I usually charge more on eBay than I would on my website because eBay is going to charge
Yeah,
some fee,
eBay docks you. Yeah, they
big
do.
time.
Yeah, they do.
So, we've got to make that up.
Yep.
um, somewhere. And I think it's also important for you to, we talked about like additional fees, but also think about what does it cost you to produce those eggs or those birds? So that's something that would be really important to talk about. A lot of people think eggs are free. Like if they have a problem with hatching their eggs, they're like, "Can you just send me some free eggs?" And I'm like, "Those eggs aren't free."
Right. You got to
So
think about, the electric, the feed, the water, the cleaning supplies, the cages. There's just
yeah,
so much that goes into it just to
yeah.
produce an egg.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's list some of these. We've got a building. If you're
Mhm.
using a building or something like that, some people will, get a shed or build something, or, some people just use their garage or whatever. I started in my basement, but I
I
now have,
started on my back porch.
yeah, I now have a building, and so that is a cost. You're going to have something, like lights. So you have your electricity stuff,
And we have fans.
exhaust fans.
Mhm.
Here, because we do have a building and it's a metal building and we live in the South, we have HVAC system. And
You got to watch saying you're in the South, though.
okay, you're further south than I am. So yeah, with our setup, we have to be able to cool ourselves and the birds down, because with our metal building, yeah, it gets too hot.
Yeah, so you
So
need good insulation, which we have too.
yep, good insulation. We've got the cost of running our incubators and our brooders. So there's a lot of electricity involved. Water.
Yep.
So that's a cost
Feed.
that people don't always factor in. Feed. Oh my gosh.
Lots
Feed.
and lots of feed. And then if you feed a good quality feed, that's going to change your prices too.
Exactly. Exactly. Quality in is quality out. So if you want good hatch rates, you got to have good feed. And then, depending on how big you are, or, what your workload is, you might need help. So
yeah.
we
So
have a
then you're
farmhand.
hiring someone. Yep.
Yep. So, you're paying somebody. Um, let's see what other expenses that, the setup costs of cages, incubators, brooders, water systems.
All the little things.
Yeah. And then if you ship, you have shipping supplies.
Yep.
All that adds up. The
all the
boxes,
foam,
the
all the
tape,
stickers.
foam,
Yep. Tape,
stickers, labels, label
everything.
maker.
Peanuts. Yep.
Yes, all that adds up. So these are all the things that you need to factor into selling eggs. Even if you're selling eating eggs, you still have to put them in something.
In the cartons.
Yeah. So
and
you
you
have
need
to have
your labels for that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Plus your time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time to sit and sort those eggs and make sure that you're sending good, fresh, quality eggs that are clean.
And sorting the live birds too. That takes
Oh
a
yes.
lot. Yeah, I think it
Yep.
takes much longer than sorting the eggs.
Oh yeah,
But
I'm so particular when I send live birds out.
yeah.
And they're also, it's hard too with live birds because you're having to grow out a lot of birds, and half of them are going to be males, and not everybody wants males. So
Nope.
now you've fed up a whole bunch of birds that you don't need. And then not all of them are going to pass your quality control. So now you've fed up a whole lot more birds that you don't need.
Yep.
So yeah, all those things are things to consider when you're pricing your eggs. I do see people that are like, I'm going to get into this market and I'm going to sell eggs for, 25 cents an egg, and I'm going to, get lots of sales. Ooh, yeah. It's not worth it for 25 cents an egg.
No, it's not.
You're not even close to breaking even at 25 cents an egg. So
trying to think of some other markets I might have missed. Reptiles and falconry.
Oh yeah. Yep.
There's those. Some people might even want the manure for their gardens.
Uh-huh.
I think that's about it.
I think so too. So talking about other markets, I guess if you're talking about, we were just talking about live birds, deciding whether or not you're going to sell chicks or adults. What do you do, Leah?
So I prefer to sell hatching eggs and adult birds.
Me too.
I do sell some chicks, but it's not something that I push. It's something I really do not like to do.
And why is that? What has gone into making that decision?
For me, a lot of times there's a lot of reasons. So one, I could actually be handing someone over some of my best birds and not having them for myself. Another reason too is quail chicks are fragile. I never recommend someone getting them if they're a very first time, ever having any type of chick whatsoever, because they are a little bit more fragile. And people have, I don't guarantee them once they're out of my hands, just like with my eggs.
Right.
So, if something happens to them, I feel bad, but I always try to make sure they're brooder. I'm like, show me pictures of your brooder before you even come to pick them up.
Sure.
And I also have them watch our brooding episode too.
Yes, definitely.
Every time. And a lot of times they come back to me and they're like, out of those 10 chicks, 7 of them ended up being boys. Will you take them back? And that answer is always no.
Or they think that somehow you were able to tell which ones were boys and you tried to, give them extras.
Yes.
It's also important to think about, like, while we talked about, you might have some extra live birds that, you're not going to be able to necessarily sell easily. Um, for me, a chick is really cheap, but if I raise it up a couple more weeks, I can make more money off of it.
Yep.
So that's something for me. If I'm going to take up incubator space and brooder space and stuff like that, I want it to be worth my time and energy. And selling an adult bird is for me a little bit more profitable.
Same here. That's why I do not push chick sales.
Hmm. That, and I can't ship chicks. That's one thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that while chicken chicks can survive being shipped, but don't always do super well, as we sometimes see, quail chicks are a whole lot smaller and more fragile, and it's harder for them to stay alive. So I do not ship any baby, new hatch quail chicks.
Me neither. I would never.
Yeah, yeah, it's just not worth it to make a buck and risk their lives. So
Feel the same way.
yep. And then something else that we haven't covered would be balut.
Yeah, that's popular with the usually the Asian market.
Mhm.
So if you're near that, that might be a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be something else that you could find as your market. I have not done balutes, but
Me
I know
neither.
lots of people, successfully do that. Um, Crafts, we kind of briefly talked about like skulls and oddities like that, but people also can make jewelry out of like the eggs and the feathers.
Yeah,
So
or fly ties.
yes,
Yep.
absolutely. So that's something else to think about. I know that Kelly Connect with Feathered Connections Homestead. Is that right? She makes some lovely like quail egg earrings and necklaces.
Yeah,
And
she
I
does a
think
good job on those.
yes, our friend Christina Gidros does as well. I think she adds those into their shipping boxes, and the like
Yep.
hatching egg boxes. I've gotten some lovely jewelry from both of them. Um, so that's another market that would be something unique. Um, Christmas is coming, and there are lots of Christmassy crafts and stuff like that that people do as well.
Yeah. If I had more time to do crafting, I'd love to, but I don't.
Yeah, no, no, me neither. Not at all. And then we briefly touched on wings. People do use like the dehydrated wings, not only for crafting, but also for training hunting dogs.
Yes. And cat toys too.
Yep. Yep. So quail are pretty awesome in that you could just use them for so many things. And if your market is saturated for one thing, you might look into a different avenue to sell birds or, parts of birds.
Right. You just have to find your niche, and sometimes it just takes some time.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I think that's about all that I have for today. How about you, Leah?
I think we covered it.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for joining us.
Have a great night.
Be sure to like and subscribe.